Good morning, everyone. This is Jason, the zombie collector, I guess, if you will. Heading into old Shigoto, heading into work. It's a beautiful Thursday morning here in Hoosierland, USA. And I haven't done a live stream or a deep thoughts video in a while, and I thought, you know what? Initially, when I went back to doing this format, I guess, or whatever, episodes, whatever you want to call it, I was thinking I'm probably going to keep it to sports related. But the more I thought about it, I'm not really that much into sports anymore, quite frankly. I mean, I got back on the old hobby horse and collect. I never stopped collecting wrestling cards. But, I'm only recently kind of gotten back into Japanese guys and maybe Scott Rowland, Greg Maddox, some of those dudes. But, I started out strong thinking, oh, I'm going to watch a lot of baseball this season. Well, here we are a month into the season, and I probably caught the better part of 5, 6, 7 innings of total baseball. So maybe the spirit was willing, but the flesh is weak, perhaps. So I thought, man, I don't necessarily got to do this. And they're only going to be like my grandma watching this and my mailman and the milkman and the guy who delivers me ice to my ice box will be watching this video probably anyways. So why do I care about what the topics are? And then if people want to engage in topics with me, great. If they do not, or they don't find it interesting, or they find it too controversial or whatever, then, which is typical, people just stay away from it. So I was like, well, let's just do my thing. So I do have a topic that I want to discuss with you, or just like where we are as a community, as American people, as consumers. There's no what's the word I'm looking for here? Like, there's no shock when people who have used to be big supporters of me or my channel know that, if I do not like something, like, I'm willing to, hashtag walk away. And I did that for the better part of 3 years or something when it came to baseball, because I don't want my baseball mixed up with politics and social justice. And I want to watch baseball. But, the world we live in now is that I always wonder, what does it take, if anything, to make you stop supporting a company, a brand, a business, a sport, or whatever, because you don't agree with their messaging? Because we as Americans tend to have a difficulty seeing past 2 minutes of being offended, and then we just go right back to everything being the same. Like, we cannot be inconvenienced with our day-to-day routines because we don't want to change up or make sacrifices, anything. And I find that disheartening and sad because, corporations, corporate America, anything involving business or anything involving money and your money that you pay, knows that majority, I don't know, of course I have no idea the percentage, they can say and do and say how terrible and awful you are as a person just because you fit into a certain demographic or whatever the case is, and you're going to continue to buy their products, support their products, watch their products, eat their products, drink their products, whatever the case is. And I always wonder, for the people who do get outraged or turned off by certain things, you might come up with all this rage, but then and you rage against the machine, so to speak. But then you say your social media piece and like put it on your Twitter or your Insta or your Facebook or your TikToks and all this stuff, and then you're like, okay, I'm gonna say all these things, and I'm gonna go right back to doing exactly the same thing I was doing before and not make a change. It's like when people ask for forgiveness, but then they keep doing the exact same thing. They're not asking for forgiveness. They're asking for just mentally feeling better about themselves and they can get that forgiveness, but then they actually keep doing the same thing they were said they would stop doing by asking for forgiveness. So it's just going through the motions and not actually changing the behavior, right? So the whole thing with Budweiser, right, and Bud Light, I guess, and then before that it's been Disney, and then you have football, and you have basketball, and you have baseball, and you have Starbucks, you have Target, you have all these companies that do and say that are going against probably your values and your morals, or just common decency with a lot of things that they participate in, or what they find their value in, which is not you, generally speaking, the public. It's only a very small segment of the population. And so they're willing to offend 98% of the population, 95% of the population, to appease 2 to 5% of the population, because they know the 95% will throw a hissy fit for a couple days to a week, and then they go right back into doing the same things they were doing before, still buying their products, still watching their products, still eating their products, still drinking their products, still shopping in their stores, still showing up at their stadiums, whatever the case may be. Because no one actually decides to stick to the actual, idea of, I'm walking away from this product because of their decision making or whatnot. So everybody, I know people say, well, it's just too hard, it's too difficult. Well, not really. If you make an effort to do the right thing, from your perspective, of course, because everything could be different depending on different perspectives, and you stick to it, and if there's enough people who do, then you can see actual change. We live now in a society where literally the vocal minority, or the smallest minorities, with the loudest microphones, shout down corporations and businesses and everything down to get their will, and then everybody else has to take it. No one's willing to stand up and say enough's enough. And the thing is, you don't have to be aggressive, you don't have to be violent, you don't have to be mean-spirited or attacking. You could just stop it by stop paying for it. Because really, at the end of the day, the only thing these companies, corporations, businesses, whatever the case is, care about, the only color they care about, the only topic they really care about is green and their bottom lines. If you think any differently, then you're just joking. You're just kidding yourself, I should say. And if anybody knows my channel, they know I've been saying this essentially for I don't know how long I've been doing this, but 4, 5, 6 years. Whenever this kind of topic comes up, but it is very frustrating as a consumer, as a person who wants to be engaged in the culture, so to speak, has to be out on an island by themselves, which I'm fine with. That's how I live my life. To try to be the person yelling into the darkness, for people to stop just paying lip service, but actually doing what they say they'll do, or just finally to say enough's enough. The thing is it's mind-boggling. People will complain, and they just keep going right back to it. It's like I guess any abusive relationship, it doesn't have to be a female being in an abusive relationship. A guy could be in an abusive relationship, and then you go back to it because the person will keep coming back. So, corporate America knows they could be abusive to the population here in America, and we're just going to keep coming back because we have conditioned ourselves and these corporations that no matter how much you mistreat us, we'll be right back every Friday night or Saturday night or Sunday afternoon, or we'll be back at your grocery store or your movie theater, or your buying your liquor or your alcohol, or going and shopping at your stores. Like we have conditioned ourselves to go. We don't want to be inconvenienced. It's like the McDonald's slogan. Was it "Have it your way" or whatever? And then there's that McDonald's. I can't remember. And they'll know that they'll still give it to you the way you want it. Either you can't have it your way, you're gonna have it their way. And they know that they don't have to change a single thing. And the whole thing with Bud Light or whatever, they lost apparently $1 billion or billions of dollars. But is this in just the short term? Is this going to be a short term hurt? or is this going to be a long-term thing? You know, Disney lost billions of dollars the last quarter over all their platforms. And it looks like thus far, a lot of the stuff that's been in the pipelines have been all this ridiculous woke BS. So, but I don't know if they're going to make any changes or not. It doesn't look like they are, because they think they still can ride out the wave and ride out the storm and see if it's going to just, like, you know, finally get back to the way it was, and there'll be enough Americans who just, you know, will just get distracted and go, oh, look, it's something shiny, and stop making them bleed money. Or will they not? I think right now it seems to be putting the screws to Disney in a lot of ways, but in a lot of ways it looks like they're still doing business as usual. You know, you don't know how much something has to hurt before it actually makes a difference. So, you know, but this thing with, you know, Anheuser-Busch is, I mean, there's another thing there. The thing with the NFL years ago, you know, they doubled down on it. Actually, they did not apologize or stop. They made all these concessions to continue to go about their business, and they really never stopped. And then people just start coming back. they found workarounds, and everybody made excuses why they keep watching football. Oh, well, you know, I don't see it as much, or they did this, or they're not letting the football teams come out now until after the national anthem's being played if they're gonna protest, or we're not gonna show the cameras on the field so people don't get riled up. So they're trying to find all these workarounds. They weren't bending a knee to, so to speak, wink wink, to us, the 98% of the paying customer. They're bending the knee to everybody else, and they're just find workarounds. And, you know, the same thing, like I told you before, like the reason I don't shop at Target and other places is because their policies are against my personal views. You know, they are fine with, you know, adult men going into bathrooms with women's bathrooms because they said they feel like a woman. You know, and that's I mean, Target was radical, you know, what, a decade ago, how long ago it was when they first did that. Now it's becoming commonplace. You know, it's just, you know, and I mean, you know, and I was just like shocked, and, you know, still we are today. Everybody just still, you know, if I was a father of a daughter, I'd be mortified in the current world we find ourselves living in. But, you know, we still go shop at these places. We still do business there. We still give them our money. And, you know, don't think twice, don't bat an eye, don't even care less. It is very surprising. I don't understand how, you know, us being inconvenienced, us having to actually do some research to find out what are some of the businesses, restaurants, sports, shopping experiences, you know, department stores, whatever, food, drinks, that stay out of it. Like, how hard is it, like, you know, to do those things? Because it requires time and energy and thought. And people, Americans especially, don't want to be bothered by that. They want to find the easiest and most usually the cheapest way to get whatever it is that they want to get. And they don't want to do actually any work to get there, to do it. And they definitely don't want to be inconvenienced by having to look somewhere else, even though their support business, whatever, is actively against you and your family. And you're continuing to support them with your money. Because, like I said before, and it's not anything earth-shattering, is that the only thing these places care about is money. So they pander and create all this kind of ridiculousness so they can get more money. And they know that they can get more of the smallest of the minority communities of these ways of thinking with all this ridiculousness. Then they know they already got all of us. So they can just increase their bottom line by making all. It's like we always talk about, like, you know, and every company in America is all flag for the rainbow flag on all their stuff for one full month. And then when July 1st rolls around, it's like it never existed. And everybody fights this good fight for 1 month, and then they disappear. You know, they just panic. They act like they care because it gets them more eyeballs and more money for that month on that product. And they know that most Americans, though they might be offended or put off by it or perturbed by it, because they're just trying to buy their freaking Oreo cookies or whatever without ridiculous slogans and agendas being pushed on their food, they'll just keep on buying it. And, you know, and that's the thing. And then as soon as July 1st rolls around, into the dumpster bin it goes. And they brush it back off on June 1st the following year. And I mean, you know, it's just so transparent. The same thing with February and any other month of the year. You know, it's just ridiculous. You know, it's just all this stuff. And, you know, enough's enough. You know, even last year, Walmart did a Juneteenth ice cream. I mean, like, are we really ridiculous right now? Like, that's the world we live in. Like, if they feel like they can cash in on some kind of whatever movement, regardless if it's the right thing to do or regardless if it is perceived as ill-timed or disrespectful or offensive, they don't care. If they think they can make money off of it, they're going to do it. I mean, that doesn't tell you what all you need to know. Maybe it wasn't Walmart. I think it was Kroger, now that I think about it. I don't want to disparage Walmart necessarily, but I think it was Kroger now that I think about it. But anyways, but you know my point. My point is that this is what's going on. I mean, you know, I just don't know what is so. I mean, I spoke for the last, oh my gosh, 19 minutes. Is that right? No, 17 minutes almost. I mean, so I'm interested. I truly want to know. It doesn't matter at all to anybody who's listening what a company does before you make any changes, any sacrifices with the way you conduct your business. It doesn't affect you at all. You don't give it. You don't care. You can care less. Companies can support, do, say, participate, insert themselves into whatever the situation is, and it does not matter to you. You're going to keep buying the products that you want to buy, supporting the businesses you want to support, and they could be doing anything essentially, and that doesn't affect you one bit. You could care less. Or is there a breaking point? Or what does it take? Or are you the kind of person who's like, oh, I'm gonna stop doing this or supporting this or watching this or buying this, and then like after like a couple of weeks, you're like, well, that was enough. Let me go back to getting that Bud Light now. Let me go back to go to Starbucks, or let me go back to this or that, because you know they serve the best lattes in the world or whatever, and I just don't want to go to the local coffee shop because you know I have to get out of my car and now go through drive-through, whatever the case, whatever the horrible inconvenience you may have to burden yourself with. I genuinely want to know, because you know I've said this 1,000 times, and like even my son knows that I don't support certain businesses. I don't go to certain restaurants or you know whatever, and he just knows. And I mean, I'm sure him being a teenager thinks I'm you know silly and it's ridiculous. But I hope as he gets older and he forms his own opinions, ideas, thoughts, that he sees that I stand on principle, even if I'm that lonely branch out on that tree by myself or that lonely island surrounded by you know the ocean. That you know I have my principles, I have my values, I have what I consider important to me, and I don't make a big stink. I don't go and like be aggressive towards other people about their viewpoints. I just know that I'm just not going to spend my hard-earned cash with companies who actively work against me, and in some cases despise and hate me because they've said as such. Why would I do that? That makes zero sense. Like the NBA and the NFL, I mean, they actively talk about how it's like evil white man. Why would I spend money on that? That makes zero sense. I've never done anything wrong to anybody. I've never said a cross word to anyone in a negative way. If anything, I feel like the exact opposite of that. But why do I want to tune in to hear that? I just don't, you know, and I don't want to go to, like I said, Target, because I'm not a big fan of adult men going into women's bathrooms. Call me old fashioned. Just not a fan of that. And I mean, like I said, and as soon as I find out, I don't support Nike because they support slave labor, which I find so ironic and just ridiculous and sad and pathetic that you have all these NBA and NFL and MLB or whatever, basketball players and football players and management and owners and all this stuff who literally talk about social justice issues and how, there needs to be some change in the way we conduct business in America, and like be aware of our past transgressions and these terrible things from our past, who actively support Nike, who literally at this moment today, right now, is dealing in slave labor. I mean, the absolute ridiculousness and this absurdity is unparalleled. And these same, famous basketball players and football players will get up to America and like try to tell us how wrong we are, and how we're these terrible people from these past transgressions or whatever that has nothing to do with not a single soul alive on planet Earth in 2023. But then they go and put on the logos and the shoes and the hats and the jerseys and the whatever on their uniforms to companies that literally at this moment deal in slave labor and slavery. It's just unbelievable. I'm not taking any advice from the person who doesn't even understand current politics and current world issues and whatnot. It's absolutely absurd. I'm not doing it. So anyways, I mean, that's my story. I'm sticking to it. I'm looking forward to hearing if anybody wants to wade into those waters, because I'm sure it's going to be a select few. But what your thoughts are on the topic? If you're, like I said, again, I'll just reiterate, are you the kind of person who gets offended or turned off or put out, but you just keep buying and supporting, spending your money, whatever, with organizations, businesses, whatnot? Do you make a change, and do you keep to that change? And is there ever a breaking point for you? Sometimes the breaking point for people, or it's going to be different for different people. The amount of crap they're willing to take is going to be different. So I'm interested to hear if anybody wants to have that conversation, because I think it's one that we need to have more as Americans, just to be like, listen, what does it take for you to finally say enough's enough? And maybe it won't. Maybe there is nothing. Some people don't want to be inconvenienced, and I'm interested to hear that too. So anyways, I hope you all doing well. You all take care and enjoy if you work, you're right into work today. And I look forward to hearing about any of the feedback in the comments section. So until next time, peace out.